play the Jeopardy music today. All right, we're ready to get started. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to have a public hearing on the bus replacement plan, CPF plans, and the budget. So, sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so if I'm cracking up here, that's all that is. What this is a public hearing to talk about those plans. This is kind of it's kind of a holdover from the way that funding used to be done years ago. So it's a holdover from legislation. This isn't anything official. It's just a this is just a formality that has to be done from the state. So, are there any public comments on the budget? There'll be other time for public comments at the regular meeting, and then also public comments on the bonds. So there'll be 2 other times tonight to have public comments. This is just strictly about
this is about the funding.
This is about the bus replacement plan, CPF plan, not about bonds or regular meeting. Okay. All right, hearing none on that. Do we have any comments, discussion, anything of that nature? Okay.
We also need to do we have any public comments on the CPF or the bus replacement plan?
Okay. Hearing none.
Yeah.
That meeting will be adjourned. Now we'll start the regular meeting, which will have all the other stuff in it. All right, start the meeting with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Turn it over to you.
Yeah, we have some recognitions tonight. First of all, we have John Tyndall. You want to come up to the podium? We will recognize our student of the month for the junior high, and also the student of the month for Blue River too.
All right, we have one of our students here this evening that we're going to recognize, but I'm going to talk about the other ones as well. So our junior high student of the month is Jaden Cornett. Some comments about Jaden is he's always positive and a happy student, continues his day to day. He completes work in a timely manner, as well as uses his time effectively in the classroom. He perseveres every day, and his determination will allow him to be successful and grow in the future. So that is Jaden Cornett. He's our middle school student of the month.
Jaden here?
He is not.
No, okay.
I want to move over to our Blue River Career Center Student of the Month. Michaela Claiborne was recognized by Blue River for her dedication to the Human Services Trade program. The teacher over there says that she embodies values of human services and making the world a better place. She goes above and beyond classroom expectation every single day. She was honored last week at a luncheon at Blue River. We did invite her to here tonight, but she could not make it. The last thing that they said was she is always a positive and hardworking person, student, mentor to young students, and a joy to be around. So Michaela Claiborne is our Blue River Student of the Month this week. And our high school Student of the Month is Thomas Rooks. I'm actually going to invite Mr. Shaw, who nominated Thomas for Student of the Month, to come up and say a few words about Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Well, I'm the new ag instructor this year at Southwestern. And one of the first things that I noticed when I came here was that we needed to do some work in the lab and the shop as far as reorganization, cleanup, and that sort of thing. And on the first day of school, Thomas was there. He approached me about what he could do to help. And I think he's worked every day back there, and he would live back there if he was allowed to. He needs to stay in math and English some, Thomas. But he does help out quite a bit. He's shown a lot of leadership. And then after the lab and the shop, he moved on to the greenhouse. And he's been a real blessing. He tells me what's been done in the past or how this was used or what was done with that. and kind of fills me in on some things. So he's sort of the foreman. There are two other students that help him regularly, Corbin McQuarrie and Ethan Bouldery, so I won't mention them. But, when you get a group together, somebody emerges naturally as a leader, and that's kind of been Thomas. So I really appreciate, excuse me, really appreciate everything you've done, Thomas. And I hope we have as good an ending to the year as we have had a beginning. So thank you, Thomas Rooks. Appreciate everything.
Thank you. Now I want to go on to the Students of the Month for the elementary. Mrs. Hoeing's here. She's going to present some of our students at the elementary who've done a great job to start the school year.
Okay, so the first student I'm going to recognize, I actually had two separate teachers email me about this student and said that they wanted to recognize the student for hard work, grit, and determination. So the first student I'd like to recognize tonight is Jethro Ramsey. At any point in time, any of our teachers or staff members can give a Spartan shout out to students for good behavior in the hallway or just kind of going above and beyond. And so I have some of our Spartan shout out students here this evening, and I'd like to recognize some that weren't able to make it. So our first Spartan shout out goes to Riston Jesse. Riston took it upon himself to clean up the restroom. He noticed there were paper towels on the floor, and he just on his own decided he was going to clean that up. So Riston, come on down. The next student I'd like to recognize is Joey Richardson, and for always being prepared for class and always working hard. The next student would be Tyler Jackson for always showing bravery. And then I have some students who are not able to make it tonight. I'd like to recognize Camden Norton for welcoming a new friend to his classroom and helping his new friend kind of find his way around the school and around the school day. Adeline Freiberger, she's always working hard in class, and her teacher gave her a special shout out for that. And for Michaela Wright, for always trying her best and always working hard even when things get tough. And those are my shout outs, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Hoeing. Congratulations too to all our students of the month, and it's great to see all the smiling faces come up to get their certificates, and so thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you too, parents. You play a big part in that, and I think it's worth noting that but the kids couldn't be here without you, so thank you, parents, too, for all of your hard work with your kiddos.
We appreciate it. Also, guilt-free pass if you don't want to stick around for all the rest of this, because it is going to be lengthy and it's probably a little bit boring. So if you don't want to stick around for any of that, by all means, feel free to go. It is a school night, I get it.
No.
Not you.
Good stuff.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I figured there'd be some parents that would appreciate that.
Yeah. Good call.
My wife would say one.
All right, agenda modifications. We don't have any agenda modifications this evening.
Admin person. But they didn't. See other.
I was just going to put it under other, but yeah.
Yes, but it's still,
okay.
Yeah.
We have a permission to post a data administrator that we're going to add under other.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep, that'll be under other and yes, be item F. Yep. Now we'll be opening the floor for public comments. This is for the regular meeting. There will be another public comment section about the bonds. So if it is bond related, feel free to save it for then or do it now. This is up to you. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead and stand up to the podium. We got a nice place for you to stand now.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. from the comment that I made, being able to hear people on the YouTube videos. I do appreciate that. Well, good evening. My name is Paul Bowdy, and I want to thank the school board for all the information that you've been trying to get out to everybody, and it's been shared at the previous couple meetings. If I make a comment and it's based on incorrect information or false information, please correct me, okay? This has to do with the school improvement projects, and I'm going to include my funding comments at this particular point in time also. I also want to express my appreciation to the board and various community members who've reached out to me regarding various comments that I made in the past meetings. I recognize that these improvements previously discussed are quite expensive, and this board is tasked with making the decisions to give our children, our staff, administrators, an environmentally sound place of learning. My first comment deals with the outdoor athletic facilities, namely the track and the tennis courts. The Lancer report had previously mentioned that the track and tennis courts suffer from poor drainage. From my limited knowledge of drainage, it's in my opinion that the track and tennis courts have merely outlived their useful life, now 25 years old, with a projected lifespan of 20 years. And they've done it with minimal preventative maintenance over the years. And it just shows that they were installed correctly, and in my opinion, does not say that drainage is not the problem. It's just time for them to be replaced. Now, the softball fields have some drainage problems out there. My second comment deals with the items at the elementary school. I'm concerned about the air and moisture quality, with recent mold remediation performed costing approximately $15,000. I understand that there have been several dehumidifiers placed throughout the building in an attempt to reduce the moisture content in the air. I do not know how much of this is caused by roof problems or the current HVAC system, including potential airflow throughout the building. Regarding the HVAC improvements in both the elementary and the high school, my concerns are with the suggested improvements. Are they being adequate to rectify the current and future potential problems? Has the corporation investigated heat pumps? Now, I realize that there are concerns about heat pumps that's out there, and I've heard that there's a current problem in the field house with the heat pump system and air conditioning. But I've had heat pumps. I've had geothermal heating system in my home, and I recognize that they do have their own characteristical problems with them. But if the units are installed correctly, they're matched properly with the backup system, I have found that they work. And common problems being kinks or crimps in the copper piping that does not allow proper freon flow, or leaks in the system. And just like any other system, they take regular maintenance on them. And airflow. Heat pumps definitely have to have an airflow fan system really working with them to spread the air out, because it does not cool like a standard air conditioning system. It doesn't heat like a standard heating system. So airflow is very important. Finally, in the matter of the project financing, I don't know if this is a possibility, but as the corporation considered accruing funds, I don't even know if it is legally possible for the school to accrue funds for repairs and replacements in the future. Many of the items that are being discussed, the HVAC, roof, track, tennis courts, just like flooring in the building, the asphalt parking lot, computers, buses, etc., are items that have a service life. They have maintenance that is required on them. And I don't see why we can't accrue funds just like we do in the capital project fund or with the rainy day fund, so that we can reduce the cost of bond issuances and the high interest rates which we are experiencing right now. It would give a better opportunity to have a more consistent school property taxing structure, instead of the potential 15 to 20%, like has been discussed the last couple meetings, of an increase that I would have for this year. And I've not gone back to the assessor to find out what might happen because I don't have accurate numbers and I don't want to burden them. But from my previous discussions with them, one method of the finance project would put me at my cap on my property taxes. And if that happens, then the debt funding that is being serviced would be taken care of first, and it is my understanding then that the school would suffer in operating capital. And so that is a big concern about whether we can go into potentially accruing funds instead of waiting 10 years if we have a 20-year service life or a 30-year service life on the roof, the HVAC system, things of that nature, we all of a sudden have to come up with a $5 million bond to take care of that. So I appreciate you listening to my comments. And again, I do appreciate the contact that I've had with various board members to help clarify some situations and things, answer some of my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. Any other public comments?
Name's Larry Hill, up on 44. My question, I followed some of the stuff that was online, and essentially the $5 million bond off the table, because I think, if I remember right, to exceed I think $2.5 million, you had to have a voter referendum, correct? No more, huh?
No.
Probably should, but no, we don't, huh?
No.
As long as you can get approval for 10 or 15 million, you can go.
No, there will be a lot of discussion on this during the bond hearing.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
We'll be able to give you more information.
Okay, I'll sit down till then.
Okay.
Yeah, you go.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none.
All right. Consent items and claims. First of all, we have approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
Second. All those in favor? 7.
Next is the approval of accounts payable vouchers.
I'll move approval of the accounts payable vouchers. Second.
All those in favor? 7.
Next, we have business and financial reports. You have a financial report. It was in your board packet, and also the extracurricular and cafeteria account reports. There's no voting here, but do you guys have any comments, questions on that?
Hearing none.
Okay. So we move into the next section, and that's the public hearing on our bond discussion.
So the next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project hearing on the proposed project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed in the sign-in sheet at the back of the room, which is to include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments on the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. The notice of this project hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I'll have the bond counsel come and speak.
Good evening. We're here tonight because under Indiana law, anytime a school corporation wants to spend more than $1 million on a certain building, it must first open for a public hearing. This is the very beginning of the legal process. It does not bind the board to do a project. It's just a chance for the public to hear about the project and the maximum borrowing amount and other things that will be presented.
We can go now to we'll now hear from the superintendent about the process of determining and communicating the project to the community and the need for this project.
So what I have tonight is I prepared a little slideshow here on just the project needs that we have, some of the areas that an architectural firm, Lancer, has pointed out to us, and we're still in the process of gathering information. But as you can see, we'll have some glaring needs that we have in our building, and I just want to point some of these out to you. First of all, we have some roofing needs at the elementary building. Those areas are in red above here, and the pictures I show you are going to be from the red areas, the areas that we're looking at possibly be replacing those roofs or doing something with the roofs in those areas. So as you can see here, we have a couple different spots where the outer layer is worn off, where we've gotten down to the black inner layer. It's an area of concern. From what I understand, it's an area of concern where we could get moisture buildup and leaks in our roof and just some areas of concern. We have some cracks. The picture on the left, we have some cracks around the outer edges of the roof as well. The middle picture is some flashing that's looking worn, needs a little bit of help. And we have the picture on the right. It's another black spot on the roof that's the outer layer is worn off, and we're down to the next layer that we need to fix. More pictures of the same. The one thing I want to point out to you, it's kind of hard to see. You maybe will see it in your packets if you have your packets. We have some nails that are protruding from the roof, sticking up out of the roof, which to me that's not only an issue that could cause some leaking in the roof, it also could cause some hazard to anyone who's walking around on that roof as well. So those are some areas of concern of the elementary roof. We also went up and took some pictures of the junior senior high, and these are the red areas or some of the older areas that we're looking at fixing and replacing if need be. Again, we have some of the black areas here that where the roofing's worn down, the edging on the roof. There's parts where the actual roofing material is coming up and bubbling a little bit. And then gaps in the flashing, the picture on the right as well. We took a picture of the area that's above the library, and this is I think this area is probably one of the most pressing needs. I was very hesitant to walk on that area just because it's not entirely stable, and that's an area of need as well that we have. We also have a picture on the right, another worn down area there as well. And then just some other concerned areas. Some of that's due to debris that's forming on top of the roof, and I know you're going to have that. But just the condition of the library and one of the back rooms inside the library, as you can see, we had moisture issues there where rain was coming through the roof, and we believe we fixed that where it's patched and it's not leaking anymore, but you can just see some of the damage that was created in that area. I took a picture of the HVAC at both the buildings just to show its age. I don't know exactly how old it is, but it's just helpful to just show the age of the areas. There's a couple more pictures as well, and this is actually on both buildings. Then we get into our track. Took some pictures of the track. As you can see, we have vegetation growing up in the track, significant cracks throughout the track area that needs to be addressed. Actually, it's to prevent us from holding track meets, home track meets, especially large home track meets. One of the areas of concern right now is we were supposed to hold our conference track meet this year. With the track and the shape it is, I don't know that we're going to be able to do that. We're looking at hosting that somewhere else just because the condition of our track and making sure it's safe for people to be on it. And then we get into our tennis courts. As you can see, we have noticeable cracks in our tennis courts that need to be addressed, both at the net area, through the middle of the court, going along all the courts. So just another area that we need to address and we would like to address with this possible bond issuance. There's just a list of some costs, an estimated cost that Lancer has given us for the project, and we're looking to kind of shore this up a little bit more. Again, this is just estimate on how much some of these items would cost, and that's kind of where we get to the $5.68 million mark. If it's possible that we have more money, we have other areas I think we could address, and we would like to do that. So we'll look to try to save costs as much as possible. So that's the presentation I have on the areas that we need to address.
Okay. So we will now hear from Baker Tilly as our municipal advisor to talk us through the project as it stands currently, the current proposal.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Tyler Ruffleholtz with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors, and I'll be walking through the financing of the proposed project. In my packet that I handed out to you, if you start on page 3, you'll see a chart of your current existing debt, and you can see that you are right around $733,000 a year for your outstanding debt payments through 2030 when they will be paid off. Page 4 is just the detail of that chart. Do you need a copy? Okay. Page 5 shows the calculation of your general obligation bond limit, and that is based on your net assessed value, and it is 1/3 of 2% of your net assessed value. So based on your 2024 assessed value, that limit is $2,547,000. If you flip to page 7.
Tyler, can I ask you a question? None of these things have changed from our last meeting, correct? None of what you've presented so far, those are all what we've had.
That's all the same.
Okay.
Yep. The tax impact that I will show you has changed.
Got it.
So far,
because we only have a gross, we don't have a net assessed value, correct?
We only have the net. We do not have the gross.
The gross.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So with that being with this general obligation debt limit, this is based on this year's assessed value. Right. That's not based upon next year's assessed value.
Right. So if we made the same calculation based on this year's, and since we just recently got that, we didn't update this, but you could issue up to $3.2 million this year. But then since your 2024 gross assessed value is $568 million, your non-controlled threshold is 1% of that, so total project would be the 5.68. So what we've structured here is doing your old geo limit this year and then the remainder next year, and you could do a little more this year and a little next year based on this. So based on what we have put together here, we have a general obligation bond in the amount of $2,545,000. And then the remainder of that 5.68 in the amount of $3.135 million to be issued next year. The GEO bonds we'd have paid back in just over 7 years. The first mortgage bonds issued next year would be paid back in just under 10 years. Estimated total interest expense using conservative interest rates for the 2024 bonds, we'd estimate at $526,000 over the life of the bonds. And for the 2025 bonds, we would estimate at $1.23 million over the life of the bonds. And here's where it looks a little different than it did last month, because we did get your new assessed value. That for the first year, we'd estimate an impact to your debt service tax rate of 5.79 cents. And last month, we had shown a 10-cent impact, so we are showing a little lower now. And then that would be the incremental, and then the following year would go up a little more. So compared to 2024, your 2026 rate, we'd be showing 12.66 cents higher. As opposed to last month, we were showing 22.44 cents higher. Page 8 shows what the outstanding bonds would look like with your proposed bonds. The light blue bars would represent the 2024 bonds. The dark blue bars represent the 2025 bonds. And you can see the black line there is your estimated debt service tax rate. You can see the incremental step in 2025 of that 5 cents. And then the total increase, so it's not an additional 12 cents on top of that, it'd be an additional about 7 cents. It would go up to 2026, And then as the outstanding debt starts to fall off in 2031, we would estimate that rate to start to come back down. Page 9 is a detail of that page, but on page 10 shows your estimated debt, your taxpayer impact based on different types of property taxpayers. I won't read through all of these numbers, but for that 5.79 cent impact, the median home value in the district of $170,600 would see an impact for that 1 year of about $46.14. Each acre of agricultural land would see an annual impact of $1.32. For every $100,000 of commercial or rental property, see an impact of $57.90 per year for that 1 year. And then the following page shows the difference between 2024 and 2026 at that 12.66 cent impact.
Can I stop you in time?
Sure.
On your page 10, that agricultural land, with our current numbers now and everything, that is a wrong value of $22.80 an acre.
Did ag land change?
It changed. It went to 2,800.
2,800.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a little higher then. So,
but
at 2,800, it would be.
That would explain why our 80 went up so much.
So instead of $1.32, it would be $1.62. And then on page 11, the 12-cent impact for each, for the median home value, you see an impact of $100.89 per year. For every $100,000 of commercial or rental property, you'd see $126.60, and then I'll recalculate that acre of agricultural land. So that would be $3.54 per acre. You'd see an impact above your 2024 rate. And that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
Just to clarify, even with this increase that we're getting ready to, if we do this full amount and have the 12.6 cents increase, that is still going to leave us as the cheapest tax rate of all of our surrounding districts.
Yeah, it will.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's a publicly clarified statement. Thank you.
But I guess I do want to bring up in the public, the question I asked last month is how much it's going to impact our operational fund. We don't really have that number, correct?
We don't have that yet. Hopefully any day now.
What Isaac's talking about is what Paul was talking about the people that cap out. You know, it's by law it has to.
It's 1%.
Yeah, we have to pay the debt service first, and so that will hemorrhage our operation fund. We're waiting to find out how much.
The projected number, we're not going to hit it to the penny. I get that.
And with everyone's assessed values going up, that cap does.
Sure.
Go up.
It does. Yes.
So we'll now open up the.
Hold on, I have a question.
No,
Yeah.
Carrie.
So if that's the case, because so right now Triton's AV is still higher than ours. And so throw away Triton, Shelbyville. And their AV is higher than ours, so is their tax rate. So are they capped out, do we know?
I don't work with Shelbyville,
Okay.
so I'm not sure what their impact
Everybody
is.
has a little bit of an impact because of over 65 vets. There's a whole bunch of other circuit breakers. So it just depends on really how much, business, how much residential, how much ag. For like my school corporation, the impact to the operations fund is minimal, but there's some school corporations who lost $7 million because they are in a full industry area. But so yours, it hasn't impacted you much lately. It's probably not going to impact you much more, but that's what policy analytics will do for you, is tell you exactly what they think it will be.
Okay, one more question. Will that be back before October?
Yes.
Okay, so just to clarify, tonight we're not voting on the actual bond, we're just voting to move forward, but if that was to come back and say, we're gonna lose millions of dollars in our operations fund, we could just throw it in the trash and walk away from the bond.
None of this is final. This sets maximums and gives you the flexibility to do it if you want to.
Thank you.
Paul's got a question.
I'm getting ready to open it up. Getting ready to open it up. So we will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in to the sheet. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name and address, limit your comments to the proposed project and the financing, keep any comments to 3 minutes, and avoid being repetitive if possible.
You're gonna talk basketball.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Paul Bowdy, 5710 West Private Road, Highland Hills Drive, Edinburgh, Indiana, 46124. My question is really simple. It is, since this is a public hearing and you guys have been presented with information that we have not been presented with, is this information going to be readily available to us like it was originally a couple months ago, so that we can have a chance to study it and see how it impacts ourselves personally?
Are you talking about the information, Paul, from Baker Tilly that they presented?
Yes,
tonight?
this information that was right here,
Yep.
all the, whatever they is just, is it going to be on the website then like it was in the past? Okay, and then the second thing is when we do present this information, I would ask that if you know you're going to have information presented, that there be some documents available for us to look at so that we can make little comments as we hear things that are going on. So I would appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Would you like some, Larry?
Larry Hill, 6417 West State Road 44. I have some questions on the roofs. I've not been up there and don't intend to go up there. Are they are they rubber roofs? I figured they were on the elementary.
Most of the area is a rubber membrane, if I'm not mistaken. In most of these areas.
Is it just over top of the old build-up roof that was there many years ago?
It's been a long-standing issue.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It looks like it has. Okay. The other thing, the rate. My barn across the road, which I haven't touched for years, almost doubled in assessed value. So I'm paying a lot more dollars, disregarding that the rate itself hasn't changed. And the assessed valuation is what will drive the thing, okay, not the rate per se. I know that has to be part of it, but it's what they assess the valuation of it is. And I guess I know we need to keep the place up, okay? And like the prior speaker said, we don't have a capital improvement fund or anything that looks after this? We wait till it breaks?
So that's the changes in funding that have taken place in the last 10 years. What year was it that 2018 is when school funding changed pretty significantly.
Yeah, I know.
And that's unfortunately what I would say is that we haven't had a long-standing maintenance plan. And without a long-standing maintenance plan over the past 10 years, there hasn't been any plans for that fund.
Okay.
So that, unfortunately, this is just the cards that we have been dealt as a board and the problems that are in front of us.
Last comment. You're basing this on basically architectural estimates.
Correct.
My history says that they are always very low, okay? So have you got enough wiggle room in this to actually do the work? Or are you going to have to trim whatever you need to stay within the budget, apparently, right?
I'll let you kind of speak.
We may have to. It may be something where we do have to trim, but we also have, we're in the process of having getting another opinion too on how much the cost will be, how much this will be, and making sure that we're staying within that budget, whatever we're doing.
Because I'm sure you're going to have a lot of decking repair to do as opposed
may.
to roofing.
Yeah, you may.
Like I say, I've been associated with several architect estimates, and they seem to be low to get the job, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle Barlow, 2688 South, 625 West, Shelbyville. I just have a few questions. So, because I know some of the roof you guys talked about the last meeting had been done prior. In doing all this, does this get all of our roofs up to a snuff where we hope? Because, I mean, there's different roof areas, you know, and I know these buildings, but.
If we did every roof, we wall that's red, myself and Dustin and John, all three of us walked them yesterday. If we did all those, they would all be within 4 years or newer.
I appreciate you guys.
And some of them, the pictures look worse than they actually are. I wasn't as shocked when I got up there. It wasn't an oh my goodness moment when some of them are. The one above the library, yeah, Dr. Wilkins is right. I mean, I walked along the edge of it, but I wasn't going to go jump up and down on the
My guess is that's original to when that was built 25-ish years ago.
Probably.
The only roof we didn't really know was the high school gym.
We didn't
get up there, but it looked decent from down here. I mean, we don't know when it was replaced, so right now.
Well, I appreciate this packet, because something I've said is you guys got to get up there, some of you guys. And
we did yesterday.
And I appreciate that.
The jump fix took a second.
I know there's HVAC problems, and onto the track and tennis courts, and they're bad. I get it. Is this for total tear out, total fix of these? Do you know?
This number was one that had where they were going to redo all the drainage too, and yeah,
we're getting second opinions.
Yeah.
Our opinion.
Make sure we're
I think this track number is going to be really high by for what we actually do with
And
it.
can somebody shoot from the hip and tell me what these two projects are going to cost total, roughly? Anybody have any idea?
We haven't got to that point yet.
Because, I mean, I love our sports, but we got to take care of our roofs and our HVACs first, and we may have to. And I'm glad you're getting a second opinion or whatever, because I think that's, you know, this is going to affect me and my family financially a lot. So, like I said last month, we gotta keep the kids' heads dry, and we gotta keep the air and heat moving through the buildings. So, I will say that, you know, the school in the middle of cornfields. We don't have a lot of businesses to lean on for extra funding. And so the only way that's going to stay there is if some of the only businesses in the business have to pay more, and that's farmers right now. I asked one of your board members a while ago how many up there are farmers, and 25, 30 years ago it was probably a different picture, but I lived through times of very little money at this school, and I'm kind of sick of hearing that. So these kids need this stuff, and you have my blessing to make whatever decisions you got to make to make this place stay around. So I don't envy your all decision. Good luck.
Thank you.
Can I answer? I guess maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but I don't think anyone, my perception is no one's going to place the needs of the track or the needs of the tennis courts above the needs of the roofing and HVAC.
Right. No.
So, I mean, if we prioritize things, those are obviously the first things we're going to consider. So.
Yeah. Education's on this first.
Yep.
Any other comments? No takers. So, I believe it goes over to you, Kristen.
Tonight you have 3 resolutions to consider, each of which are preliminary resolutions, as we discussed, that will just set the maximums, which means that you could always do less, you could never do more, or you could choose to do nothing at all. This doesn't bind you to have to issue bonds. We will plan to be back in October, and I know that meeting date has changed due to fall break. There will be additional preliminary resolutions to be considered at that date. The first resolution you have in your board packet is a project resolution. As we explained through at the hearing, anytime a school wishes to spend more than $1 million on a building, you must hold a project hearing to hear from the public and hear the maximum terms. And then you also need to adopt a resolution that adopts the project resolution with those maximum terms included.
Can you explain to them why they can't, I don't know the words.
Remonstrate.
Yeah, they can't do a remonstrance.
Oh, Indiana's never been a referendum state until this last year. In school corporations with a debt service fund tax rate of over 80 cents, which yours is 17.77, schools with a debt service fund tax rate over 80 cents, if they want to do any project, it has to be on a ballot. You're nowhere near that. That's why this doesn't have to be on a ballot. The other time is if the school has a debt service fund tax rate between 40 and 80 cents, a project has to be subject to a 30-day wait period no matter the size. So again, you're way below the half point of that. So 40 to 80 cents, it wouldn't still go to referendum or petition remonstrance. It would be, you would hold 2 hearings, adopt a resolution at the end that would start a 30-day time period in which 5% of your registered voters or taxpayers could petition to have that process apply. But again, because you're under 40 cents, you don't have to have that here. Then there's also a whole other thing based on gross assessed valuation and dollar amounts that are spent. But right now with the new legislation, we tend to focus on those schools 40 to 80 and over 80.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's me. So could I have a motion and a second to adopt the project resolution?
I will make a motion to adopt the project resolution.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-1. Opposed? Same sign? Okay. All right. Can you please summarize the preliminary bond resolution?
The preliminary bond resolution would set the maximum amount of the general obligation bonds that you could issue. Again, it sets all the other terms as well. Again, it doesn't bind you to have to issue bonds, but does set forth the maximum amount of bonds that you can issue.
Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the preliminary bond resolution?
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6. Opposed? 1. And could you summarize the reimbursement resolution?
The reimbursement resolution is required under federal tax law if you determine to issue bonds and in the meantime you need to pay out of operations a rainy day. This would allow you to use your bond monies and reimburse your operations or rainy day fund.
Can I have a motion and a second to adopt the reimbursement resolution?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? 6. Opposed? 1. And I believe does that conclude that, Kristen?
It does.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, we're going to new business now. Recommend the acceptance of donations and grants. First of all, we have a donation from Mount Auburn Christian Church in the amount of $50 for the Spartan Food Pantry. We also have a donation from Flat Rock Christian Church in the amount of $1,700 for the Cafeteria Angel Fund, and a donation from Treva Wettis in the amount of $50 for the Spartan Food Pantry.
I move we accept those donations.
I was graciously, oh no, fine.
You have to give a speech before you.
Well, I was gonna say, that's a big donation. So I'd be grateful.
All those in favor? 7-0.
Next, we have the recommendation to approve fundraisers for the 24-25 school year. They were in the board packet that was sent to you.
Any questions or discussion on school fundraisers?
Make a motion to approve them.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Next, we have the recommendation of approval for the senior class to go to Kings Island in May 2025.
Any discussion? No discussion?
Make a motion.
Got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor? So no? Everybody have fun on the trip?
A couple other items here. First of all, we have the overtime report. I don't think this requires a recommendation, just a notice that there's an overtime report that you have.
Did you want that for the D?
Well, I guess I can move that. We have a permission to post the data administrator. I can move that
No,
up.
D.
Is that what you're talking about?
Miss D.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed it.
I don't know if
Holy
that
cow.
was intentional or accidental.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry, folks.
You're good.
Appoint 2 board members for collective bargaining. We're gonna start the collective bargaining process and 2 board members. Ask. Yep, 2 board members.
Me and Brad have expressed interest. Any objections to said thing?
Sold.
Sold. All right.
Okay.
Was that a unanimous appointment? Okay. No objections to me.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. We go into other business. Now we have the overtime report that you have your hands on and you saw. So, and we're going to go on to the recommendation of the policies that were presented at the last board meeting that we had. We have, I hope you guys are, I'm just going to do them all together.
Yeah.
Okay. We have A300, responsible use of technology and internet use policy. We have A301, the wireless communication device policy. We have B150, the organizational meetings, Board of Finance and committees. B200, membership. C525, release and authorization for adult volunteers. D200, standard of care and supervision of students. D375, employee discipline. D500, school resource officer employment and training. E125, promotion, placement, and retention of students. And then G360, data breach and protection.
Any discussion on those?
Make a motion to approve the policies as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
Now the next item that I have, permission to post the data administrator. We want a data administrator position to help with some of our just tracking data for especially our student data for Power School. It becomes very a large burden for our technology person, Zach Sprout. So we want permission to post that. So I just request that.
Make a motion.
I'll second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Okay, now we have reports and presentation. We have Zach Sprout here tonight, the technology director, to talk to us a little bit about technology and where we stand right now.
So as far as technology in the school board.
Go ahead and take the front center. Don't want to steal your thunder here.
So as far as technology in the school corporation right now, the big things that we're moving towards right now is I've got the Palo Alto firewall on my desk. I'm currently waiting on Palo Alto to send the configuration cord. That way I can configure the firewall. And that will really allow us to take the next step into putting Chromecast in teachers' hands. Because right now the current firewall we have is not allowing the wired network to speak with the wireless network. And so when teachers are using desktop computers, they cannot talk to the wireless network, and you can't put there's not a spot to make a Chromecast wired. So that inherently prevents the two from talking to each other. So once that firewall is configured and installed, that will allow teachers to be able to either use their desktop computer or their Chromebook and be able to cast to a TV just like Dr. Wilkins is doing right here. It's a very simple and easy process. I'm happy the board approved the data manager position opening. I think that it's important to have diversity in the team. And I definitely know what my weak spots are, and I'm very strong when it comes to technology. I'm very strong when it comes to the hardware. My weak spots tend to be that I haven't worked in education. This is my first job in education, as really getting this deep into it. And so Some of my weak spots is like Power School, the programs that you don't see outside of education. I think are some of my weak spots. So getting someone in who has that experience and has that knowledge is definitely going to be a great benefit. Other than that, I have a MacBook and I'm going to order 2 different other MacBooks for test devices for teachers, just to see if these work in the classrooms, and then to compare the cost analysis of a teacher having both a desktop and a Chromebook, versus teachers having one MacBook that they could sit down at their desk, plug into a docking station, and do that, and also be able to take it off the docking station and walk around the class with it. So just to see the cost benefit analysis of that. So we have 2 of those coming for teachers to test. I'm going to have next semester teachers test it out for that semester, and we'll see where that goes from there. Any questions from the board?
Zach, can you speak real quick to why we're looking at MacBooks? Is it because our current, technology that we have is becoming obsolete? Is that what it is, or?
Our desktops are very, very old. Our Chromebooks are reaching, the teacher devices for the Chromebooks are reaching their point to where we're going to need to replace them here soon. So when I'm looking at replacing both the desktops and the Chromebooks, I think at a certain point it makes sense to buy a better device that can do the in-between of both, and allow teachers to be able to have all of their files and all their documents on one device, that they can take home and use in the classroom at the same time. I think it would provide ease of access to teachers. I think I've already run some numbers. It appears as if it will be more cost effective than buying desktops and Chromebooks. And to add on to that point, I think that I've run the numbers, and I talked to Triton, and after I believe it's after 5 or 6 years, we can get $300 back on every MacBook that we have. If we sell it off, we can get $300 back in return on that. So we would actually get money in return, versus if you take like a Windows laptop, after 6 years, you'd be lucky if you get $10 for it.
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move into personnel. We have leaves, resignations, and terminations. Recommend to accept the resignation of Madison Thomas as spellball coach as of August 20th, 2024. And recommend to approve Carolyn Dunnigan for FMLA leave starting August 9th through October 4th.
Any discussion? Nope.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? 7.
Next recommendation is to hire. We recommend hiring Danielle Helton as spellball coach for 24-25 school year. Also recommend to hire Ashley Fico for the position of 6th grade co-sponsor, and recommend to hire Corey Brand for full-time as head of maintenance.
Make a motion to approve the new hires.
Second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Superintendent comments, that's me. So a couple things, won't speak long on these things, but first of all, I guess just want to give a status of our ADM. It's our student count. Right now we're up 16 students from where we were at last year, which has a positive impact on our education fund. So we're looking forward to that. Hope we can continue that. Our ADM day is, I believe, October 1st, right? So that's the day that the state uses, and they come in and they look and see how many students you have and calculate your funding based on that date. So, so we have that coming up. Community night. Just want to remind everyone that next Friday's community night, the 20th. Looking forward to it. Hope you are too. Looking forward to be there. Check out the soccer game and some of the other things we have going on that evening. We changed our next board meeting because that falls in fall break. It was scheduled for October 9th. That's actually going to be October 16th now. So it's just a week later because of fall break. And then the last, but certainly not least, is we have a pre-bargaining hearing scheduled for the 17th at 4. This is just an opportunity for myself and the association rep, Matt Campbell, will be here and just gathering information for the public if they want to come and present information on bargaining before we start the bargaining process. Again, that's next week. That's next Tuesday, the 17th at 4 o'clock. That's all I have.
Board member comments, Travis? Nothing. Blake?
Of course. So I want to start by thanking everybody who came and made public comment tonight. You may not realize how much I appreciate that, but I hear a lot of the things that are said about us behind the scenes about this pond. So I appreciate the ones that show up and actually say what you're thinking here in this room. I just want you guys to remember, you know, it's not an easy position, and these things that we're looking at right now, it's kind of like something's on fire, but we didn't put the fire hydrants in place to have the water readily available. So we right now, we just have to figure out how to put out the fire, and then afterwards, go ahead and plan to put those fire hydrants in place. It's not fun for any of us, but I thank you guys all for coming and saying your take. There you go. Yeah.
No comment.
I just want to thank everybody for coming, Blake and Matt. It is a tough decision, and we're trying our best and trying to make the best decisions. And if we got any questions, I mean, or opinions, it'd be great to hear them because we're all trying to figure it out just like everybody else. So thank you.
Thank you again, everybody, for coming. Like I said, we don't take the decision lightly. We understand that this does have impact on our people, but unfortunately, this is the cards we're dealt, and we have to take care of the kids. So, thank you again for coming. Thank you for the comments. Have a good night.